Calderon of Fight Hook News here with trainer Bob Santos. How you doing, boss?
Everything's great. Glad to be with you.
You got your fighter tonight, Cuban heavyweight Daener Pero going up tonight. How has been the developments of his progress?
Well, you know, we're very pleased with everything, how it's been coming along the last 2 years, right? We got him at 10-0, and that's a blessing in and of itself. 10-0 and 8 knockouts. Just signed that nice deal with Turkey as the ring ambassador. So we're well on our way, and tonight's another step in the right direction, and we got to take care of business tonight.
So we're going to be seeing him on some ring cards in the future.
Oh, definitely. But we got to take care of business tonight. You know, you can't catch your chickens before they're hatched, so we got to take care of business tonight. And this is heavyweights, and we all know with heavyweights, one punch can change anything.
Now, his brother fought a month ago here at the same location in Orlando, Florida. He's a contender. He just got signed to Matchroom Boxing. You know, it was a long layoff, but how would you assess his performance?
Well, for a year and a half off and only having 4 weeks to get ready, I think he did a tremendous job. You know, he had a bite down, dig down, and he did everything that we asked him to do. But like I said, 4 weeks off after a year and a half with heavyweights, so I'm happy with what he did. He got 10 rounds. It was his first 10-rounder, and we're on to the next one.
When will we be seeing him on a Matchroom card?
We'll probably sooner rather than later, probably within the next 3 months here, I would assume.
Now, with the fallout of Wortley, Fabio Wortley, you know, he was supposed to fight Big Baby Miller. You know, I was looking for that fight between your guy and him, you know, matching up. You know, that's a fight that you've been pressing for, or no?
Well, of course, we want to fight everybody, right? We want to fight the best and get his opportunity. He's number 4 in the world. He had that big win over the Ukrainian. Unfortunately, it didn't parlay us into what we thought it should have been. And it's, you know, a guy that had that many amateur fights, who was on the national team for Ukraine, undefeated, Victor Frost. It was a big win. And then, unfortunately, sometimes, you know, business things get in the way and negotiations and so forth, and a little bit of litigation, and that's why he was off for a year and a half. And thank God for Amari and obviously Eddie Hearn to get him back in the right direction. And so, you know, we got that 10-rounder, the first one we did, and we're back off to the races.
That's what's up. Now, there's a lot of buzz around another fighter of yours, WBC welterweight champion Mario Barrios, a fight against Manny Pacquiao for July. Is that official? It hasn't been an announcement yet, but that's a fight that you guys have been asking for a whole year.
Well, of course, anybody would want to fight Manny Pacquiao. He's an icon. He transcends boxing, right? So this is a guy that's huge. He's a global icon, you know, not just in boxing, but in all sports. So, of course, you want that fight, but at the end of the day, people got to realize he won't make any decisions. He has an election coming up, I think, this Monday. And so, you know, until that goes through, and we'll see how that plays out. Will we love the fight? Of course we would love the fight, but we'll see how it plays out Monday. He's running for the Senate, and I think that'll determine a lot of things if he comes back or not.
Now, Bob Arum, he's been talking about Top Rank and PBC working together. A fight that I was looking forward to was perhaps, you know, Barrios versus Brian Norman Jr. Is that a fight that was ever discussed when they were talking about PBC and Top Rank working together?
Not to my knowledge. So, you know, but obviously Mario Barrios has never ducked anybody, takes on all comers. We fought Gervonta Davis. Right after Gervonta Davis, we turned around and we fought Keith Thurman, who was considered one of the best in our first fight at 147. So Mario Barrios has never ducked and dodged nobody. Fought Ugas, obviously, to win the title. And so we'll see what transpires. But, you know, it's all up to the powers that be, and that's Al Heyman and Louis Cubas Jr. We'll see how it plays out.
Now, Manny being 46 years old, he didn't look good in his last 2 fights and everything. Do you think Barrios will get the credit if they fight? I know business is about money and everything like that, but is it a fight that you think Barrios will really get credit for if he beats a Manny Pacquiao at this stage?
Yeah, I do, because remember, these were the same people that said he had no chance against Keith Thurman 4 years ago. He's got no chance, and he ended up beating Keith Thurman. So, of course, anytime you're going to fight a global icon who transcends boxing, you'll get credit. Your name is going to be bigger and so forth. But we'll see how it transpires, because obviously they said George Foreman wasn't going to be able to do what he did. They said Bernard Hopkins wasn't going to be able to do what he did. They said Manny wasn't going to be able to do what he did against Keith Thurman. I know they're now going to say, well, it's another 4 years. Well, you know, hey, that's why they make the fights.
Now, there was also talks about Errol Spence Jr. fighting Barrios. Is that anything relevant?
Of course, we would love that fight too. We'll see how it plays out. Like I said, you know,
is there any truth to that though?
Well, we'll see how it plays out. We'll see what happens Monday with Manny Pacquiao's election, and we'll see how that plays out from there.
How come Barrios is not going after guys like Jerron Boots Ennis, who, you know,
well,
just
hold on. Let's not forget now, when people are saying that, again, I just said, Barrios will fight anybody that they put in front of him. When Jaron Boots Ennis, he had a decision to make to either go with Matchroom or PBC. We had said we would step up to the challenge and that we would fight him. Then he was going through his own negotiations on who decided he wanted to go with, whether it was going to be PBC, whether it was going to be Eddie Hearn, whether it was going to be Top Rank, or whatever he decided to do. So during that time, he was kind of put on the shelf with his own negotiations and things of that nature that were going on. And so we went forward and we moved ahead and did that fight on Netflix.
Speaking of PBC, we saw Rolly Romero pull up the upset against Ryan Garcia. I think that if the Pacquiao fight doesn't materialize and it doesn't happen, let's say it falls apart in the last minute, I think Rolly versus Barrios is a great fight.
We'll take that fight in a heartbeat.
Take that fight in a heartbeat? You like that fight?
I love that fight.
You think? What do you thought about the fight against him and Ryan?
Well,
Rolly.
You know, it's hard to say. You know, remember, every fight is different. It's tough to say because I don't know what the motivation in the other guy is. I don't know what the camp was going on. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. But that's like I said, that's why they make the fights. Everybody can say, well, this fight is going to happen this way. And a lot of times it doesn't happen that way. So that's why you make the fights. And I always tell guys this too. It's like I had Robert Guerrero one time. You know, we fought a guy by the name of Gamaliel Diaz. And we happened to lose to him early in Robert's career. And they would say, oh, he's just better than Robert Guerrero. I said, well, no, he's just better tonight. Okay? He was just better tonight. It is what it is, but we'll revisit it. And we had a tune-up fight in between. We fought him again, and we all know what happened on Showtime. We put him out on a stretcher. So who turned out to be the better fighter? So you know what I mean? A fight could be a one-off. I don't know what's going on with Ryan Garcia. So I don't know what's going on in his camp or what the motivation was, but I think we were all a little bit shocked by what happened.
Now, did you watch the Boots versus Stanionis fight?
Yeah, I watched that fight clearly, and that was a great fight for Boots. Stanionis is a true warrior. I think he's a great fighter. Again, he's another guy that was off for a long time. Give Boots all the credit in the world. It is what it is, and one night doesn't make or break a career, but I give Boots all the credit in the world. That was a great performance against a great fighter.
Good luck tonight, and thank you always for your interview.